Alright, welcome to Soroptimist International Club of Petaling, Jaya. Thank you for joining us this evening and sharing in our business meeting and our discussions and sharing a bit about yourselves as well, because this is what Soroptimist is all about. We are a sisterhood. We come together to do service, to transform the lives of women and girls around the world through educational projects, empowerment programs, and enabling opportunities. And today we are almost coming to 100 years old. The organization was formed in 1921 in California by a group of women who were rejected from joining Rotary International, and they decided we'll form our own. And so Soroptimist International was born, and now we are in 132 countries and territories. And we are governed by a world board that meets annually in the United Kingdom. Our headquarters is in Cambridge. And in the international board, we have divided up our geographical structure to 4 zones. We've got Europe, we've got Americas, and we've got we Malaysia are part of the Southwest Pacific that starts from Mongolia all the way down to New Zealand and most of the countries in between. If you want to know more about Soroptimist International, you can go to the website www.soroptimistinternational.org. And for our Federation of Southwest Pacific, it is siswp.org, so you can find out more. Fast forward to our club, Petaling Jaya. It's my pleasure to let you know that we are already 23 years old. We were chartered on the 19th of January 1994. However, why I say 23 is because that's an official charter date, but those of us who started the club, we got going in 93 as a pro tem committee. And then when you charter, you normally want to have some gala event to actually attract people, funding and everything. So we were chartered under the patronage of Yang Amat Berhormat Tun Dr. Siti Asma Muhammad Ali, who was at that time the wife of our Prime Minister, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, and she graced our occasion, and we had a great fundraising event. At the time, a key problem, and probably still happening in Malaysia, was premature babies dying because of lack of ventilation. You know, they need to be put on infant ventilators. So we had this grand fundraising dinner, and we raised enough money to purchase infant ventilators for the university hospital, which is now called University Malaya Medical Center. And among our charter members who did this great initiative together with us is Siu Yong, our Kwan Sri Siu Yong Nyanalinga, Meng Suan Sen over there, Dr. Kamala Sirani, Damayanti, who's our club president, and so many other ladies out there. We have grown from strength to strength, and I think the important thing about our organization is that we all chip in with our skills, our talents, and our expertise. You all shared with us over dinner just now your calling, your passion, the things that give you a sense of purpose to come out and do your bit in society. We have had fantastic projects. I just want to quickly share with you some of our highlights of our club and how we've evolved and where we are today. During the initial year when we started, apart from the infant ventilators project, we raised a lot of money. So we decided, let's go and help children out there. So we started giving out educational materials, because education is one of our strengths as Soroptimist Club. So we started giving out educational materials at orphanages, computers, teaching aids, arranging tuition class, all that sort of thing. That was going on ongoing. Then Damayanti came in as president, and we took it to the next level. After Damayanti finished her presidency, we have Meng Suan Sen, very capable, dynamic lady, and she helped us in one great way. To sustain the momentum of projects, you need continual funding. Meng Suan is a champion fundraiser. That is one of her greatest strengths. We had a British Airways theatre show. It was such fun. We had I think Gardner and Company, some comedy group. It was fun, and we raised good money. And we had then the wife of the Menteri Besar of Selangor came as our guest of honor, and we had a lot of corporates who bought tables. We continue to do a lot of projects around orphanages in Kajang, Rumah Faith, and all that. And we were also doing what you call it, talks to empower women. We even had a public forum, you know, to talk about laws that affect and discriminate against women and girls. So that was important. So that's an advocacy part to the Soroptimist International Program, because basically there are 3 limbs that we do: public awareness activities, advocacy activities, and then actual action, hands-on projects, which we are really good at across the world. And all Soroptimist clubs do that. And then after Ming Swan came Siu Yong Nyanalingam, another wonderful president. And during her time, we had lots of fun programs. One of the highlights actually won us an award from Soroptimist International Best Practices for Environment. Because, you know, we have, at that time, we have program focus on health, projects around health, projects around environment, projects around education, international goodwill and understanding, women empowerment and equality. So environment is one area not a lot of people touch. But Suyong came up with this brainwave. Let's take all these orphanage children. We've been giving them all sorts of teaching stuff, computers, everything. We have been feeding them, we give them food, we give, you know, dry supplies. We were really keeping them equipped. But let's do something fun. Let's take them to wetlands, Paya Indah, and let them appreciate what the nature has. So one weekend, the 2 of us went on a bus with a coach load of orphans, and we took them out, and it was a great educational experience, because it wasn't just go blindly sightsee. They actually learned to appreciate nature, the animals that they probably don't see in an orphanage, the birds and everything. So that was great. And then next thing you know, we actually got an award. SIPJ won its first international award for best practice in environment. Siu Yong's time. Then after Siu Yong, it was my turn to be president. And during my tenure, around that time, there was the Taman Medan racial riots. Do you remember it? There were racial riots behind the Guinness Stout factory in Subang. And so we, being Petaling Jaya Club, we said, what can we do? Let's go and see what's going on there. Why would people living in urban slums, you know, fight each other? So we went and did diagnostics. A whole team of us then, we went down, we were shocked to find people, young kids dropped out of school. They have disrupted schooling. Single moms so poor they can't survive. Drug addicts, people committing crimes, violence. Why? Boredom. They're financially deprived. So what did SIPJ do? We developed a program during my presidency called Kampong Ku. Kampong Ku means my village, right? So Soroptimist adopted those villages, Taman Medan, and then later on we went to other tamans in PJ. We replicated Kampong Baiduri, Section 17, a kampong in Section 17. But what did we do? Very important. We took all the single mothers. We found out what they wanted to do. Most of them wanted to do small business. So we brought banks, we brought CGC, we brought people who would train them to start their own little business and give them finance. And then we had a medical camp, Dr. Kamla, who's a medical practitioner. She and a couple of doctors, they ran a medical camp. We were shocked. There were people who had never tested for diabetes, high blood pressure, never ever been dewormed. There were children never dewormed. Kamla got all the supplies. All these children, all these kampongs had their first deworming. One wonders, you know, how they managed. And then we got them going with gotong royong to clean up their village and everything. And then we arranged, then we started advertising in Malay Mail and Star, you know, for textbooks, school uniforms, shoes. Do you know there are kids not going to school in all these kampongs because why? Ashamed. Don't have money to buy shoes. Don't have money to buy uniform or books. So SI Petaling Jaya had tons of stuff coming. It was in then my office, so we had all these things compiled, and then we would pile in there after work in the evenings, and we'll sort uniforms, sort textbooks, sort, you know, all these wonderful ladies. We just put everything together, put them in boxes, and then we go out and give the children in the kampongs. So needless to say, throughout Petaling Jaya in many areas, and we carried on this program even after my presidency was over, and then Mary Gill took over as president, and after that Jazz Bureau came in as president. This project was so good that more kampongs kept calling us until we ended up in Kota Damansara, the flats, you know, Section 17, the flats, low-cost flats. Wherever they needed help, whether it's single moms or kids with nothing no proper materials to go to school. And then we also started having camps, like education camps for them. And so, because we did this project so well, every 4 years at a World Convention, the Soroptimists from all over the world have judging on all the projects that the clubs in 132 countries do. And SI Petaling Jaya's Kampung Pool project won the best practice project at the World Convention for eradication of poverty. And that was a great incentive for us as Petaling Jaya ladies, that it was acknowledgement from the world that we are actually eradicating poverty and solving a major problem in urban slums. Because what they felt was, this is something that's happening all over the world. It's not a Malaysian issue. Every slum has that. And then we went on from there, and then we came up with another fantastic project which was called Youth Against Social Ills. Actually, the person who planted the seed was Siu Yong, because Siu Yong had gone for a seminar. I can't remember, it was a whole bunch of NGOs, and she came back and she said, you know what, I've got all these statistics, I've got all these reports, apparently we've got a ticking time bomb going to take off all these youth problems out there, from drugs to bullying to peer, all the issues that are happening in schools. Can we do something or not? And then yours truly suddenly started getting all these brainwaves middle of the night. Okay, come up with this Youth Against Social Ills thing, and then we started running. Then we had this program. It kicked off during Jaspir was president that time, and Siu Yong was actually region of Malaysia president. Okay, I think that's how we went for that workshop, some government workshop. And then so I came up with all these concepts, and then we had this fantastic club. The thing about the PJ ladies is that you just come up with a vision and a mission, and you have an action plan, and you just basically seduce them into coming into the plan, and then they just do it. They just do it. These ladies just go with it. Nobody has to be forced, you can tell, and everybody will find a way to contribute. So for Youth Against Social Ills, we had clinical psychologists like Paul Jambunathan, we had social workers coming in, we had medical workers coming. So we were dealing with all the social issues, whether they were emotional issues, physical issues, or whatever that would affect a teenager. And it was running for several years, because when Jaspir became president and Kim Fong, it's been running for years, and we used to conduct it in secondary schools. And it was open to boys and girls, because even though we are a service club and meant to look after the interests of women and girls, but we realized that many of the problems happening in society today, it affects boys and men too. And a lot of the issues, even whether it's domestic violence, sexual offenses, or what have you, the education of men and boys is equally as important as education of women and girls, because otherwise we are preaching to the converted. And this is one thing we have realized by working with the UN, because one of the greatest things of belonging to Soroptimist International, when you join us, is that you belong to an organization that has general consultative status with the United Nations. What does that mean? There are only 17 women's organizations in the entire planet who have general consultative status, and SI is one of them. And with that comes the ability to dictate to the United Nations what should be on the agenda at the General Assembly for discussion. It also gives us an opportunity to make oral statements and written statements, to ask for laws to be changed that say discriminate against women, to unfair practices, to make sure that there is gender equality and there is proper equitable treatment of women and girls in the world. So this is something that is fantastic. And how do we ensure that we have all our information gets to the United Nations? We have a reporting system. Soroptimist International is actually very, very well organized. So every project we do, we come up with a report, a project report, and then annually we have something called a club program report. It's called a program focus report, and it's a template you can pull off from the internet, from the website, and you can key in all the details. It's quite simple actually to do once you get the hang of it. The important thing is, why report? People say, oh no, I don't want to join an organization where there's administration, where there's reporting. I just want to have the fun of doing a project, just go down, get my hands dirty and do stuff. But why is the report so important? Because that report actually goes to our federation. First, it goes all to our Malaysian nation, so our national people know what great projects we're doing and they can learn from it. can learn about the issue. What is the issue? Why are we doing the project? What are the outcomes we want? What are the outputs we achieved? Where do we want to go from here? What kind of help we need from third parties, whether it's government or whether it's funders or whether it's other NGOs that we could work with, sharing data. Because like we were talking just now about other NGOs that we work with, we can share data and then enrich each other's resources, right? And demographics. So, and with that information goes to our federation. So our federation therefore knows what is being, what sort of best practice projects are happening on the ground. More importantly, that information then goes to the international headquarters, which then compiles it into a general database. So anybody searching for a topic, take for example, now we have this project called SPOT, and it's to do with educating girls before they even get their first periods, their first menstruation, about what's in store for them, and also about their reproductive health, sexual awareness, a lot of things, very key things. Now say the report, the club program report on SPOT goes up and it's in our database. Tomorrow, somewhere in Malawi or in the Caribbean or in Canada, somebody wants to do a program in a rural part of their country, they just key in the buzzwords and SPOT will come up. Oh wow, there's this project in Petaling, Jaya, and we have all this stuff, their resources we can replicate, or we can ask them for help. We can ask them for their kit. So that's why it's important. And the other great thing is that all these reports also culminate in a global impact report every year, which we submit to the United Nations. Not just goes to some archive in the UN and forgotten about. It actually goes to every UN agency. If it's a health issue like SPOT, it'll go to WHO. If it's a program like SEED, Jobs for Life, which is about economic empowerment of youth and job skilling, it'll go to ILO, it'll go to ECOSOC, it'll go to UN Women. There are many agencies depending. If it's a food-related project, it'll go to FAO as well. So the UN has hundreds of agencies, and can you imagine our Petaling Jaya Clubs project, like the clubs around in 132 countries, it's not just ignored, you know, it's all counts for something. And you get to travel. We have conferences, like we have a conference coming in Sydney at the end of April. Once every 2 years, we have a conference in our federation. The federation, as I said, which comprises of countries from Mongolia down to New Zealand. So we have a federation conference. That is a great learning experience to attend a federation conference. And even if you don't want to go for an international conference, even in Malaysia, every 2 years we have a region conference. Now, why are conferences important? I didn't realize, I was thrown in at the deep end. I was actually charter secretary of our club. And in 1994, January, I told you we were chartered. 1994 was also conference year for Southwest Pacific, and the conference was in Auckland. And our president at the time is our Puan Sri Tina Subramanian, wife of the former deputy minister, Country Subramanian. She, being a politician's wife, minister's wife, she's just not able to go for this conference. She says, Anusha, you go, you go. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm only a Soroptimist 3 months and I'm going to go to Auckland? What do I know? I'll be lost there. Ladies, that was my eye-opener and turning point. If you think where I fell in love with being a Soroptimist, I think it's Auckland. Sometimes I blame the air in New Zealand and the beautiful Auckland marina and the hospitality. I mean, they were so hospitable, that homestay, they had everything. The Soroptimists, when you travel and visit them, they'll even offer you their homes. You know, when you have conferences, if you can't stay at a hotel, you have homestay. Even in Istanbul, when we had the World Convention last year, there were people who stayed in homes of Turkish Soroptimists. It is one of the rare treats of being a Soroptimist that we host each other in homes. So the conference, coming back to the conference, if you attend a Soroptimist conference, you not only enrich yourself with that knowledge of all the great projects that are going on around the world and the issues and causes that we are fighting for, and what lies ahead for women and girls around the world, but more importantly is the friendships. God knows how many friends we've made from all over the world, and we keep in touch. You know, of course with social media it's so easy now to keep in touch, right? Through Facebook and Instagram and everything, but there's just so much that you can learn from being a Soroptimist. And it's the friendship, like the ladies were mentioning just now, it's the friendship. And because we're an organization that comprises of women in business and profession, actually the real strength of Soroptimist is because it draws out of us the best of our professional and business skill sets. And sometimes we even have talents that we don't even tell our children about, even our spouses don't even know. We keep a lot of secrets. But when we come out as Soroptimists, suddenly our talents will come out. Like, we hear about cooking talents, painting talents, whatever, and there's always a use for your talent and your skill, right? Dancing, yes, definitely. Singing. Oh yeah, talk about singing. PJ Club actually created a Soroptimist song, One of the things we did soon after charter was one of our charter members, Shanti Abhishekam, who is currently was the president of SI Club of Kuala Lumpur. She composed a song called "Give the World Your Heart," and we actually recorded it. I went to the recording studio with her and actually recorded it, and there was a deck, and we used to play it for all the Soroptimist functions until the World Convention in 2003, and then all of a sudden that master tape of mine went missing, so we might have to go back to the studio and record that song again. But we actually have a Soroptimist song that we created. So there's a lot going on, and like now for Petaling Jaya Club, the two big projects that we're working on now are SEED, Jobs for Life. SEED stands for Soroptimist, Educate, Empower, Enable, Dream Jobs for Life. It is a program where we take young men and women aged 18 to 25 who need some sort of skills training, job employment skills, improve their employability, their communication, their confidence, their ability to go out and get a job that they like and they desire, and we get them there. We get them from building up their confidence, their mindset and their personality right up to all the skills that make them employable and to be productive and sustain a good job. So that's ongoing now, and we have the program going on in Pantamaran, which will culminate in a graduation on the 10th of April, and then we start in Kappa. And we're always looking for volunteers to come and help out, because all the ladies take turns rostering. Either they train or they facilitate or they assist with the logistics and the administration. And it's really great. If you want to drop by this Saturday, I'll give you the details after this. Do drop by and watch. This Saturday is quite exciting because we have training on team building and also on project management. And the following week we have on social entrepreneurship and everything. And then we've got sport, which is great because we're looking for volunteers who will want to be trained so that they can go to the schools and talk to these young girls. So, and I know some of you've got teaching background, so that's excellent. It's God sent. You've come our way, and you've got business skills, you've got finance skills, and all your skills will be used, and more. And bring your love, because all the projects, I think all the ladies around this room have got so much love to give. If there's one thing that transcends everything that I've seen in a lot of organizations, and all of us have been in other NGOs. I think all of us are serving in many other organizations and NGOs. But there's one thing here, we have that sincerity of friendship and that joy of achievement. It's in our Soroptimist pledge, And this is something that keeps us going, because it's the friendship. Because how else would you come out every Saturday to do a project, come out on a weekday, run around, do something? It's because the friendship, we just pick one photo, hey, come, can join me, come, let's go. Even if you're not feeling up to it also, you'll muster some energy just to go out, because, hey, we have buddies, man. It's a buddy system. And if somebody can't do it, we are honest, we'll tell, so then somebody else will chip in and help. So it's a service organization built upon friendship and the joy.
I was just wondering whether the guests have some burning questions.
Sure.
They want answered.
Sure, fire away. And if I've missed anything, ladies, this is your time, you can jump in.
Any questions?
No, I think you covered everything really thoroughly. So.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and talking about jumping in, I'm jumping in.
Sure.
Soroptimism is not all about intense project work. We have a lot of fun. We put up, what was it, Mamma Mia. Was it?
Yeah.
It was
For our annual dinner, we all sang
the dance.
Dancing.
sang and danced.
And there's so much fun, so much getting together and learning taking place when you're working on something like that. And we put up so many, and then every time we go for a conference, we go prepared with a dance or a performance. And from 7 to 7, everybody's dancing.
Yeah, Malaysians one of those who like to show off.
In fact, for every conference, the first social function will be a friendship night. And the first night that everybody comes and settles down in a hotel before conference starts, they will wear national costumes or a theme costume, and everybody has to prepare an item just to do. So they will come prepared.
It's a lot of fun. It gives us, we're all the time busy being our careers, being mothers, but our grandmothers, and all the roles we play. This is one time when we really let our hair down in the midst of good friends. And so there's a lot of fun that I can assure you.
Anyone else would like to add anything?
Not really. She really covered it.
Yeah, you covered every aspect of it that they need to know. But I think, Dharma, to your point as well, it's not just the tough long-term projects. There's a lot of quick, hard-hitting projects as well, but it's all fun projects.
Even in the projects we have fun because we make it light. I mean, even when we're working with the youth, there's so much of activities and all. Even we feel youthful. We feel like 18 and 20 when we hang out with them. And I'm sure when you go on the spot and you see all those little girls, it's like reviving memories of when you had your first period and when you were a schoolgirl too. Yeah.
Most of us can't remember when we had
So. What would you were mentioning earlier, all of you all when you came, you all were mentioning things that you've been through, like work-wise, areas of interest. I know you've shared quite a bit of your interest. Knowing a lot about Soroptimist International, where would you like to come in and just observe, take part, plunge in, and just with us? Because we've got so many things happening. I mean, you're so welcome to just come and feel your way through what we do.
I think my strengths lie in actually articulating messages across.
Fantastic.
I think so. As a teacher, I suppose that comes naturally. I've always had this dying urge to be able to talk to someone at their level. It's not something that everyone has. I feel, I see people talking to somebody who's not very conversant in English, in proper English, and I'm like, they don't understand. I've always had this interest in bringing myself to a level. So that's probably one of my strengths. I help people do that, and as a teacher, I've probably been through that as a student where I was not so good in maths, and my mom came on board and she just got me through, and now I'm exactly like that. I love teaching kids who are weak in maths because I feel I can take them across. I suppose in terms of training, I have that experience to get the message across. But my burning question would be, how does this work in the sense, for example, if just say you were involved in training, there's a lot of organization going on, what do I talk about and who do I, how often do we have to meet to kind of outline all this and come up with something proper and show up on a Saturday in Klang and get your message across? What time do you need to be there? How does the management of all this take place? That's probably one of my questions, because time for me is an issue, but I feel like if it's all planned out or there's a go-to point or something, then I'd like to know. It's amazing how you all get this going. It's everyone has commitments, everyone has a family. It's just so inspiring to see all of you all very focused and committed to this. So I'd like to know what's
Sure. For example, for C Jobs for Life, we actually have already set curriculums, we have set trainers, timetables, everything is pretty much organized already. Where the members come in is to come and facilitate maybe some of the breakout activities. So the professional trainers will come and do their bit of training. Then there'll be some activities where the youngsters will group together and work on. So there will be briefings, like Sheila Chandran did a very good briefing for all the facilitators before we kick-started the program in Pandamaran, so everyone knew the do's and don'ts as a FESI. Like, for example, you encourage them, but you don't supply them with the answer. You know, things like that. Yeah. So obviously, there will be templates. There are a lot of things that have been set up, and then you can actually pitch in and come and help out in areas that you feel most comfortable helping out. And we also are learning and growing our projects, so we are never so egoistic that we think that, oh, you know, our methodology or our content is perfect and it's our way or the highway. No, if you have something valuable that you want to input to us which can enrich our program and help it grow, we really welcome it, you know. I think that is the value that we have here.
But I think the other thing that you were thinking about how did it actually come together and how we all work together is obviously there will always be a core committee. So for sport you have a core committee, and for seed you have a core committee, and that's where the brainstorming and the process and procedure happens. But how we make it all work is through WhatsApp. Okay, we have a fantastic WhatsApp network, and it's segregated so that not everything is dumped into one. So we've got one which is the sisterhood one, where we talk about anything and everything, and then there's one where it's solely on projects. So we've got the seed project WhatsApp and the sport project. So if you're in seed, you'll be on that group. So that way everybody knows exactly what's going on, where we're at, what issues we're at, and then that's how we problem solve. So we don't have to physically meet all the time because we all don't have that kind of time. So that is why social media is such a fantastic tool these days. It's instantaneous.
So we have club meetings once a month, like what we had now today, and then the project committee meeting may have one or the most two meetings in that month just to finalize a few things. Otherwise, it may be just the one meeting only in a month.
But it's a roster.
Yes.
It's a volunteer according to your availability.
So you can volunteer, and so suppose you can't make it that week, there's always someone else can take over. So it's very fluid, it is tailored according to the needs of each.
And even like say for Seed Jobs for Life, there are 10 Saturdays of training modules, but not every member has to come for every of the 10 Saturdays. They just put their names on the roster as to which Saturdays they can drop in, and then they will be given the information so they know on that particular Saturday what is expected of you. So you won't come and like be blanking, oh, what do I do next? Because we would have, as Sheila says, we would have fed you all the information by WhatsApp and by email. So you'll come prepared. But do drop by and see us in action. Nothing like seeing us in action and just catching that energy, that whole energy of the team there. Any other?
Maybe I just want to add on. Because we are so many levels of the organization, even at the federation level, there would be a sort of a president's appeal. So there will be interesting projects that goes on. For the Southwest Pacific, we had a long-running 6-year program, Birding in the Pacific. So and that happens in that is located in Papua New Guinea, where we're helping mothers and babies to survive, because down there they really have very poor maternal health services. So we, of course, by donation of a lot of money and equipment and so on to help those mothers. I think we probably raised $1 million Australian to help these mothers. And we will be ending the project, of course, after 6 years. 3 presidents, me included, agreed to hold on to that. So the new president will come up with her president's appeal. And then besides that, international president also has an appeal. So for the coming 2 years, it will be Nepal, I think, helping education and whatever. I think maybe Sharon would know more about the Nepal appeal. So different aspects of interest. The last one before Nepal was the solar.
Solar
Cook Solar.
That was to for all the poor countries where women and girls don't have access to electricity or energy, because it has been proven worldwide that a high number of girls and women are getting raped and kidnapped, trafficked and murdered while they go and collect